We're fabulously French at the Motorist. In part 1 we had a look at some fantastic cars, and there's still a lot more to come in part 2, so stick around. I do love a good Peugeot 205, well don't we all? This particular one though is very special because it's a 1.9 GTI, but it's actually rally prepared, and this car is owned by Steve here. So Steve, how did you come to own this car?
Bought this in 2019, well used, and between myself and my brother we restored it.
Right.
So it's fully rally prepared. It is an original 1.9 GTI, 30 years, well, a 1990. Bilstein suspension, limited slip diff, fully safety, harnesses, roll cage, fire extinguishers, all the electrics, everything's internal, so the fuel lines, the electric supplies, etc. are all cut off and inside. Yeah, it's great. It goes like stink.
Yeah, and I do love these big spot lamps as well. They definitely sort of catch the eye, don't they?
They do. They are part of the package.
Yeah.
But just put them on there today just to show it off for everyone here.
So you say this is obviously running Bilsteins as well. Is this actually sat a bit higher than a normal?
It is a little bit at the front there, yeah.
Yeah.
Our intention is actually to hill climb the car.
Right.
We've had one go at Harewood Hill. It's sat too high for hill climb racing, but we're beginners. We'll give it a go and see how we progress.
I think on many of Britain's potholed roads, a car that rides a bit higher like this is actually probably a lot potentially quicker than something that's lowered.
Well, it still holds the road well, even though it is sat a bit high.
Yeah.
But, and all the underside protection, there was a bash plate on it and fuel tank protection and what have you. We've removed that to just improve the lightness for the use of hill climbing. But it can all go back on. As I say, it's fully rally prepared and it's got its rally passport.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I've been to Harewood a few times myself, not to see the hill climb, but I don't know, maybe at some point I'll get to come and see you hill climb this car.
Good.
Yeah, brilliant.
Great.
Excellent.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Oh, no, I'm definitely not built for this. Oh dear me. So, as if it isn't difficult enough climbing over the edge of these seats. Buckle. Yeah. So I'm sat on the belts, which ordinarily I wouldn't do. But yeah, so the seat is quite snug, quite narrow, which is to be expected. But not only have I got to climb over the seat, I've got to climb over this roll cage. So we have got some plumber's pipe lagging though, so hopefully that'll stop a bit of bruising if you're getting bashed around on a rally stage. Brake glass here. So that's some sort of shut-off we've got in there. 5-point racing harnesses, so we've got all that. But, radio gear as well, I think we appear to have. So yeah, something else I'm very aware of is the smell of fluids, sort of petrol, oil, that sort of thing that you do get a lot with old cars. Obviously, been a race car, probably even more so, much less filtered out. In the back, obviously quite echoey because there's no trim in the back there, no seats or anything. So we appear to have a battery at the back, spare wheel, jack, that sort of thing. Fire extinguisher as well down here. I love the steering wheel as well. It's quite dish, so it brings the wheel back a bit further, which I like. I do like a nice close wheel. We've got some Sparco pedal covers as well in there. Lovely position for toe and heel in there. Nice and close. In fact, that accelerator one's angled a little bit as well. Sort of tucks in at the bottom, so that's quite nice. Really falls neatly underfoot. Wonderful. We've got a nice collection of 205s here today. My friend David's here with his Mardi Gras. Here we've got a 205D Turbo, very rare. I can't remember the last time I saw one of these. It looks quite a lot like an XS on the interior and exterior as well. These front bumpers are identical with the same side mouldings as an XS. This one's got the yellow fogs as well, which I think look absolutely fantastic. They really set this car apart. Obviously this is a 5-door one as well. Quite interesting wheels as well. They look like the XS wheels, but we've got sort of chrome rims on there with a black wheel, so I presume that'll be a painted black steel wheel with the chrome trims added. Very nice. Behind me, couple more 205s, including an XS down here at the end as well, which I do like the XS, often overshadowed by the GTI, but with its 1.4 litre engine, but with quite close gearing and being quite light as well. They're actually probably nearly as quick, and I'd quite like one of those. Now, hiding away in the corner of the field here, we've got this lovely Renault 4. A 1986 is a GTL, which I think in Renault 4 terms was probably one of the plusher ones. Came with the 1108cc engine as well in this particular car. In fact, that's the same engine I had in my Renault 5. Now, the 4 was Renault's answer to the Citroen 2CV, and these cars were incredibly rugged. Quite utilitarian, but very, very rugged. In fact, Renault actually did a film reel taking the car across Africa into some quite difficult terrain, shall we say, and the cars are fantastic. They just lapped it up. Maybe we should start having a few more cars like this with the state of some of our roads today. Now, I'll be honest, I am aware of the Peugeot 205 CTI and CT, which were basically, CT was a regular convertible, CTI was sort of a GTI, but with the roof cut off. This one though is badged as a Gutman. I'll be honest, I don't really know, I've never heard of the Gutman before. Interior wise, yep, seats and everything looks to be a GTI, bodywork looks GTI. We've got this Pininfarina badge in here down the side as well. But yeah, really nice looking car. I do like this dark green colour as well. Obviously 205s are incredibly popular, so it stands to reason a convertible probably would fit into the range quite well. Got a couple of lovely Peugeot 306 convertibles here. This one in front of me is owned by James. Hi James.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you come to own a 306 convertible?
We were looking for a project car to do during lockdown, like most people probably were, petrol heads. Local on Facebook Marketplace, this came up fairly cheap, 500 quid. Sorted, that'll do us.
Yeah, 500 quid, it's an absolute steal for that, and for a 500 quid car it looks in pretty good nick as well.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It was been off the road for a fair while. It had done sort of 20,000 miles in 10 years. It's just been going backwards and forwards for MOTs, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So it was just a case of sort of recommissioning it and getting it back on the road, really.
Yeah. So what's your favourite thing about it then?
The engine probably. My daily driver's a 1.2, so to get a 2 litre 16 valve, a bit more poke, a bit more grunt.
Yeah. Now I know the hatchback versions of these cars were known for being they handle quite well. Chopping the roof off, has it had any detriment to it, or does it still drive quite nice?
It drives fairly well. You've got to get it up there sort of 3,000 revs before she'll take off, but there's obviously the added weight, and they've added weight for, obviously, like you say, they've taken the roof off.
You can feel any flex and any scuttle shake?
No, not really.
No?
Not really. I think the name for it, but I can't really. I don't know. Can't really tell. Not really that much.
Yeah, one thing I really like about this car is the interior, this leather. You get a nice convertible with a nice leather interior. There's just something about it, isn't there?
It's nice. It's the SE spec. When you get the red leather, it's the SE spec version. You get that in the aircon, I believe.
Oh right.
Which is the top spec.
Yeah.
They were at the time.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Got this beautiful Renault Caravelle, quite a rare car. I actually last saw one of these last year at Walton Classic Car Show, but one of my quite a popular video actually for me early on was that. But yeah, I saw one of these in a sort of a pale blue colour. Really nice car, obviously back in the days when Renault were putting the engines at the back. But yeah, beautiful convertible, kind of car you could quite happily cruise along the French Riviera in, I imagine. Now, when I owned my Mark II Laguna, in fact even before that with the Mark Is, I always felt that a coupe would have suited the range very well. Renault finally answered that call with the Mark III, with this car behind me. Now, they did a few specs with 4 and 6 cylinder engines. The GT models actually also had rear wheel steering. Now, I've never driven one, but I'm told that they do drive quite well. When at low speeds, the rear wheel steer in the opposite direction to the front ones to give a tighter turning circle, but above a certain speed they actually work in parallel with the front wheels, and apparently they can change lanes quite swiftly. It's supposed to be a very impressive car. I'm not sure, servicing wise, yeah, I'd be quite worried about that. I imagine that's quite costly if it were to go wrong, but yeah, hats off to Renault for being innovative. It's something Renault used to be very good at, being innovative with the cars. Now, when these cars first broke cover, I remember seeing them in the motoring press, and a few journalists actually dubbed these the 25k Aston. Sadly, time doesn't remember them quite as fondly, but yeah, they're still quite a stylish car, and again, increasingly rare. I knew early on these were going to be a bit of a white elephant, so really nice to see this one here today. Oh, the car I've just caught leaving is a Mark 1 facelift Scenic. There is a lot to get round here today, so sadly things do get missed. Now, having owned both the pre and post facelift Mark II Clios, I am a huge fan of these cars. This is the one I couldn't afford at the time and would have probably struggled to insure. The Renault Sport, which has got the 2-litre engine in it. Originally 172, I think this is probably a 182 horsepower car, but this one is extra special because it's a trophy. Got the trophy markings down the side here. These are actually worth quite a bit of money these days, very collectible, limited run. The thing that marks the trophy out is the suspension on them. Got special shocks on these as well with remote reservoirs. A notable mention here, we've got a Mark 1 Renault Laguna. This belongs to my friend Eddie. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this car today because hopefully I'm going to arrange with Eddie to come back and have a really detailed look and do an interview with him on this car at some point. So, like I say, in a future video we'll be seeing a lot more of this car, but Mark 1's, certainly pre-facelift like this, a very rare sight on Britain's roads today. Now, I think one of the most underrated family cars of the 90s, Citroen ZX, this particular one is a turbo diesel, and I must admit from afar I thought it might have been a Volcan, but no, it's not a Volcan, but nonetheless we've got the colour-coded bumpers, alloy wheels, as I say, that turbo diesel engine. I know the normally aspirated diesels would run literally forever, and the turbo diesels were supposed to be quite nippy, especially the Volcans. There was also a 16-valve, a ZX 16-valve as well. Again, very underrated hot hatch, and one I would very much like to have a go in. In fact, my uncle had a normally aspirated diesel, fairly lowly spec ZX, and he used to run that on quite a long commute every day, and that car ran for a number of years, never wanted for anything. Now, this is quite interesting on this 2CV here. We've got some additional storage here, the original boot lid on the top, just hinged up into the open position with this box underneath. A lot of interesting stickers on there as well, so yeah, I think this car's probably had a few adventures. Now, here's a car I'm very pleased to see here today, the precursor to my Megane. In fact, this is a facelift version of the Renault 19. 3-door body style, and this one is the 16-valve, so it's a range topper. Vegas alloys, which were same as on the facelifted Clio 16 valves as well. I love this green colour. In addition to being a 16 valve, you know, there's an executive badge down here, which did poke my curiosity. I thought, I wonder if that's got the leather interior, and I was right. We've got this lovely black leather interior now. Sadly, I've not seen the owner, so I can't show inside. But yeah, this is a really, really nice looking car. Obviously, the 16 valves always did look well with the little bonnet scoop as well. So you're doing quite well in life. You've got a few quid to spend on a nice car, and you fancy a sporty, luxury GT type car. So maybe you look at something like a Porsche 911. That could possibly fit the bill. But what if you don't want a 911? What if you want a rear-engine sports car that's not German? Cue the Alpine, a GTA Turbo, which is this car behind me, and later the A610s, which look very similar but had pop-up lights. So we've got a Renault V6 turbocharged engines flung out the back, and in between there we've got some seats with lots of leather and lots of other nice toys. A really nice car, an incredibly rare sight, and I believe in the last year of production of the 610s, which is many years ago now, I think the sales of these cars were possibly even down into single figures before Renault eventually dropped the axe. Now, today we're in something very, very special indeed. Something of a childhood dream to be sat in this car. I'm surprised to even see one, let alone to sit in one. This is a Renault 5 Turbo 2. Now, these basically the mid-engine Renault 5 built for rallying. So turbo ones are aluminium. This is a Turbo 2, but it's got the aluminium doors because this is one of 200 that was actually homologated for rallying. So a few subtle changes. The dashboard in here isn't quite as crazy as in the original Turbo 1, but still a very wacky car nonetheless. A very small, very compact car, but with these huge wheel arches. We've got a 1397cc engine, pushrod engine, mid-mounted, 8 valves. Although on this one the capacity is slightly higher because they had to be, for the group of rallying that they're in, they had to be above 1500cc. Now the owner tells me they put a thicker head gasket on just to increase the displacement to get it over the threshold. Now, something else I feel very, very privileged about, the owner has given me permission to do this. Wonderful. And that is incredibly loud here. Obviously there's no engine cover on at the moment, so I've got the might of that engine behind me. In standard tune, these put out around 160 horsepower. So like I say, just at idle at the moment. Engine is quite warm because this car hasn't been sat for very long. But yeah, and drawing quite a crowd as well here. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, well, I suppose I better get out and give this back to its owner now. But yeah, very special indeed. Well, I've had a wonderful time here today. I honestly can't smile wide enough having sat in and started a 5 Turbo 2. As you can see, it's just crazy, this car. Really, we'd never seen a hatchback quite like this before, with a mid-mounted engine and these crazy wide wheel arches. So I'll be back here again in a couple of weeks for the Furious Driving Social. Do make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you get notified, so that you don't miss that. Who knows, I may even see you here at the Motorist yourself. If I do, by all means come and say hello. Maybe we can have a look at your car next time. So thanks for watching, and until next time, it is goodbye from me. Oh dear me. Can I get out for you? Oh, we'll definitely have to edit this bit out. Oh dear me.
So we're beginning. It's me and my brother bought it. And,